Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to touch on what we talked about in the live the other day, which was about our mental and physical health when we are manifesting. So we talked about this the other day in the live, and I wanted to touch on it as I know that I do receive emails about shifting from the old self-concept to the new self-concept and how that can be a struggle sometimes. And so I just kind of wanted to bring it up and do a video on it for anyone who missed that. So we were talking about our mental and our physical health when we are manifesting. So when we come into manifesting, and usually it's the law of assumption that we actually take up on, because we are changing our thoughts in a way that we are assuming different things about our reality. So when we're changing our thoughts and we're assuming different things about our reality, we are changing our mind, and we're changing our programming in our mind, which means that any programming that we would have had before from experiences and from past negative thoughts is a program that we are working to overcome and change in our brain. And so obviously that can take a little bit of time, that it's not going to happen overnight. And when I say that, I mean I'm talking about overall concept. I know that if you're manifesting something specific, you can manifest it in an instant, just by having a straight conviction about what it is that you are manifesting, no matter what. But I'm talking about the overcoming of old negative program and coming into the new positive program. So I wanted to touch on the idea of our mental and physical health when we are doing this. So when we come into manifestation, particularly for beginners, and even on my own journey, I know that I have started this journey just over 3 years ago now, so it's a bit more kind of habitual to me now, and it's more easier. But when I first started, I was thinking that I had to have my thoughts all positive, and if I had a negative thought, that I would, feel guilty and feel resentment towards myself, and I'd have take on the whole responsibility of creating my reality for myself in a way that was actually becoming a little bit toxic. Now, I know that not everyone does this, and it is all about balance, but I want to talk about anyone who is struggling with their mental health or their physical health when they are manifesting something and it feels like it's impossible. Understand that anything that we are manifesting is actually already created in, I suppose you could say, a quantum universe. However, what we are actually doing to call it into a reality in order to experience it is really just engaging with the emotion of it, and also the thoughts that we will be having as we are this person in the moment of experiencing what it is that we want. The more that we do this is a way that we can, obviously it will be attracted into our reality, but the more that we actually continue to reprogram our mind in this way, we become more resilient and we become more capable of overcoming any circumstances along the way. Because sometimes when we're manifesting something, there can be, I think Neville Goddard calls it a bridge of incidents, where it can be, some events that are showing up that are undesirable along the way. And the reason why we choose to use our affirmations and we choose to understand the whole concept of creating our own outcomes is because we overcome these circumstances along the way. So before we got into conscious manifesting, if circumstances came up, we would allow our mind to spiral in a way that we would just accept these circumstances, that nothing is ever going to change and that it feels impossible, and we would just accept that because we weren't really aware of what our thoughts were actually doing to our subconscious mind. But now that we're actually aware of what this does to our subconscious mind, we are choosing to go a different road. But it doesn't mean that we may not experience circumstances along the way. Circumstances are, they can be seen as irrelevant, because really they're really all about how we're going to respond to them rather than how we are going to accept them and overcome them. It's kind of just looking at them for what they are in the moment, but choosing to go down another road. And when we are more aware of our thoughts, it is easier to do that, because before, when we were not aware, we were finding it more of a struggle to actually overcome circumstances. So when we talk about our mental health and our physical health on this manifestation journey, that should be the number one priority, and it should be the number one thing that we think about when we're actually manifesting as well too. So what I mean by this is anything that is, sucking the energy out of you, in anything that is causing your mental health to fall down in a way that you're spiraling and that your emotions are triggered and you're just not feeling safe in yourself because of the way it's deteriorating. That should be a sign that whatever it is that you're manifesting should let it go for the moment. It doesn't mean that it's not going to manifest, but just let it go for the moment and come back into yourself. When we're doing this manifestation or whatever it is that we're creating, we want to come into our mindset and our body a lot more. So when we are struggling with anxiety and when we are struggling with the old concept and we're struggling with overcoming anything that is actually, really pulling us down, those are the moments where we need to come into ourselves and ask ourselves how we're feeling and what is going on with our mind. So when we actually say that we're struggling with the old self concept, that is actually even a misconception in itself, because once we are actually aware that there is an old self concept, that means that it's gone. It means, like, old being the operative word there, because if you were somebody who was not aware that you had an old self concept, then you're kind of still living in the old self concept. But the fact that you are aware that you have an old self concept because you're in a new self concept now, that simple awareness is actually you in your power, because you are able to identify when your emotions and when your thoughts maybe actually look back into the past, into this old self concept. But it doesn't mean that you're struggling to shift from one to the other. That the whole awareness is that you actually know that there is a difference. So for those moments when you think or if you feel like you are struggling in any way from an old self concept into a new self concept, come into that awareness of, okay, hang on a second, if I was not aware that there was an old self concept, well, then, it would be in my subconscious, I'd be living that old self concept. But the fact that I am aware means that I actually am in the new self concept, and I'm choosing to continue with the new self concept no matter how I'm feeling or no matter what the mental thoughts are coming up. So when we are feeling our physical health, for example, our physical health, we will know it's kind of our nervous system. It's why we actually self-soothe and we talk about the self-regulation. Our nervous system is there to, protect us, but it also holds a lot of emotion that we would have experienced throughout our life. So our experiences throughout our life is actually held in the nervous system, and it is held in different parts of our bodies. As we know, when we look at the 7 chakras within our bodies, the 7 pivotal chakras within our bodies, it holds an emotion for each event that it was relating to in the moment throughout our years on this planet. So when we know that actually our nervous system has all this memory of emotion before it even gets to a thought, we know then that, okay, if my body's not feeling good, then I got to do something just for my body right now. This means that we don't have to worry about negative thoughts coming up when we're focusing on just kind of looking after our body and self-soothing our body and doing things for our body. So when negative thoughts come up and our body is feeling triggered, the best thing to do is to not worry about having, positive affirmations. Don't force it in yourself. For just kind of, come into yourself and soothe your body first. Your body is very, very important with your manifestation, because when you manifest something, everything is going to show up in your behaviors, your body movements, how you are feeling, which is kind of mostly in your heart and your gut. And all of these kind of emotions really come from your body. Your thoughts are about your thoughts will be effortlessly positive when your body is feeling good. And when we are knowing that we are reprogramming our mind, we all have different affirmations that we habitually say every day. We all have routines that we do every day in order to reprogram the mind. This habit and this routine that we have to, think optimistic, to think more positively, to engage with more positive thoughts in relation to where we are on our journey, that habit and that routine every single day will always be the more dominant thing that will pull you through any negative thoughts. So I know myself, any days when I'm feeling anxious or any anxiety that comes up, when I first started doing this law of assumption, and that the thoughts were a lot harder, because I hadn't programmed my mind in such a way that now when I actually get anxiety, I just feel it in my body more than I actually hear it in my thoughts, if that makes sense. And I'm talking from my own experience here, and I am somebody who has general anxiety, and I've discussed that before, I've talked about that before. But the anxiety that I feel now, I've had it over diagnosed maybe about 3 years now, and the anxiety that I first felt before that with my thoughts, anyone who has it will know that every little thing is just thought about, and it's all these kind of scenarios and negativity and everything that goes on in your mind from the day that I was diagnosed with that, which is like about 3 years ago, to the day now. I noticed that I don't get those thoughts anymore, and I don't. The thoughts that I get now, if I get anxiety, is really because my body is kind of just feeling the anxiety, but I do the self-regulation, and sometimes the self-regulation doesn't always, cut it either. And if it kind of prolongs, you do start to feel a little fearful, and you do start to think to yourself, you get these kind of little niggling negative thoughts, but they dissipate away because of the journey that I've been on in the past couple of years, with changing my outlook and changing my thoughts into the positive, into the optimistic. And then on the days when it doesn't feel like that, I actually, it kind of covers me. My subconscious mind takes over, and it's still actually, manifested in a positive way because of the programming. So it's like, anything that you do, or even, anything that you learn, it's always going to be there when you habitually do it every single day. So if there's a day when you're not able to do it, it's like, maybe, for example, when we get sick, and when we are feeling good and we're feeling healthy and we're going about our day and we're doing all these things, and then maybe we get a cold or a flu or whatever, and we're kind of feeling low in our energy, so we're kind of sitting down a lot and we're not feeling like we can do anything. But once our subconscious mind is pulling us through that we're not actually really consciously doing anything, then in a week or so we're actually back to what we were doing before, because we habitually know how to do it, because that is how we lived. And it's the same with how we are reprogramming our mind. It's the same with knowing that the neurons are changing, and they're going to help you through any anxiety, and they're going to help you through any stress or anything that you may have along the way, because you are doing this every single day for yourself. So when we're talking about manifestation, the number one thing is our mental and our physical health. That is the ultimate manifestation for attracting everything that we desire. So when we are desiring something, it's usually because of how it makes us feel. So if we are wanting to desire this thing and manifest it into our life, well, then we want to be accepting, and we want to be reassuring of ourselves when we do have anxiety or when we do have stress. We want to take a whole outlook of full acceptance for anything that is going on within ourselves, and to find this kind of acceptance in a way that we are not shameful and we are not guilty because we are actually having anxiety, or because we're having days that are not feeling so good. Everything is possible. You can attract anything that you desire into your life. It's scientifically proven. It's even scientifically proven that the positive outweighs the negative more as well too. If we look to physics, the positive, as I mentioned before, is 51% and the negative is 48% on the scale. I know it's not too much in the difference, but it is a difference, and it means that the positive always outweighs the negative. So I just wanted to do a video on that. Remember when you think that you're struggling with the old self concept and you're feeling triggered, understand that the fact that you're aware that there is an old self concept means that you are not struggling, and it means that you're actually living in the new concept so much more than you actually realize. And your only awareness is that when you slip back into the past, is that, you know, thoughts that you would have had before, it's just your awareness going to them. But because you're aware of it means that you're not actually living there anymore, if that makes sense. So I just thought I'd do a video on that. You can comment down below if you have any questions, and I will chat to you soon.